Alright y'all, we out here at IFO. I just made the first qualifying pass with Goldie. I didn't get much of an intro vid because it was just hustling and bustling. Car ran at 12.0. You'll hear me talk about that in the car. And everything worked like it should. Converter's a little tight. I thought it might be. Hopefully it loosens up as it warms up and the day progresses, but so far we're off to a decent start. 12.0 is definitely good enough to qualify.
Round number 2. Ran at 12.0 on its last outing. Had a little trouble getting out of the hole. Wow, big improvement. Big improvement.
Holy shit, that felt fast. Left real lazy. Man, I hope I got a good data log on that one. Thank you. At 129, 2.1 60 foot, which is trash. 7.6 8th mile, which is trash. I mean, this is all because I can't leave the line right. But 129 miles an hour is deep 10-second territory on a car that can leave half decent. And I'm not even able to run it out. Honestly, I'm hoping, hope to God I got a good log. Because it kind of laid over and the AFRs were good, but I think I just got to work on my trigger settings some more. I don't think they're perfect, but we're getting by. But she was cooking. I mean, that's fast, dude. 129 miles an hour. I mean, we're talking, this is 10 miles an hour faster than the Z's ever gone. I don't think the Z's ever even broken 120. So if I get this car to front half, it's a deep 10-second car for sure. But we're struggling with that. I don't know really what to do about that. All right, y'all. So Q2 went pretty bad. I mean, kind of good, but in a bad way. 11.2 in the quarter mile. 129 miles an hour. Dude, this baby's cooking. So I had to dial back. I did start to implement boost control a little bit, so we ran a little bit more boost on that pass. About 20 pounds, kind of tapered down, tried to get back down to my target. So we got that lowered down quite a bit to try to run something a little bit slower. Car is just front having awful, running 2.1 60 foots. Same kind of thing we struggled with the Lexus. Really no different there. That's pretty disappointing, but right now we did confirm we did make qualifying. I'm paired up with a number 69 car. I haven't seen it yet. So hopefully they no show when I get a buy run. That'd be cool, but also there's people who didn't qualify that would be put in his place if that was the case. So now we're just sitting in line, waiting. My honey Kirsty came out. She never comes racing with me. And my boy Dub. And we got the whole gang also hanging out back there with the gazebo, and everything's just chilling over there making hot dogs and stuff, and it's been a pretty good day so far. Alright, so we're up for our first round of eliminations. We're going up against a little Civic with looks like a centrifugal supercharger, maybe? Supercharged Civic. He's also running in the front wheel drive class, so he's probably having to turn his car down for this class, I would bet. Good chance he's going to try to just stay out ahead of me. So hopefully being slow on the start and being able to back half him will really throw him off that strategy. We'll see. I lowered the boost target down a bit, but the boost controller is not doing a great job at controlling boost. I had it set to 18 psi and it shot up to 20, and it took several seconds to get down to 18. So it'll probably shoot up to 20 again. I'm only targeting 17 pounds of boost this time, so I lowered it just slightly, and I'm expecting to have to slow the car down a little bit.
All right, guys.
All right, here we go.
Also running front wheel drive, so he may be pretty quick. And he does it, baby. 11.6. There you go. First round down.
Goldie got us a win. Had to slow down a whole lot. The guy got up ahead of me. I came right around him and left him in the dust. And then I was just hitting the brakes, slowing down. Finished at 106 mile an hour, and I ran an 11.61. So that's kind of what we need to duplicate. I think the slow lead is going to screw with a lot of guys' heads who think that they got an easy race ahead of them and get out of it early. Well, I'm just starting to get into power, so hopefully we'll use that to our advantage. So far, the car's running great. No leaks, no problems. So, fingers crossed, it keeps doing the deal. Alright, y'all, this is second round elimination. I'm going up against this Civic to my left here, another red Civic. We'll see what we can do.
Alright, round 2 eliminations. Let's go, baby.
It says a LB3 for reaction. I don't know if that code means something to you. But I bumped into 4 and I was only there for a couple seconds.
It says it's reaction, it just says an LB3.
All right, y'all, back from IFO now, and we got some things to unpack here. So, looking back on the situation with the timing system on that second round elimination where I got red lit, basically what this boils down to is a malfunction of equipment. I mean, any way you slice it, the equipment malfunctioned, caused a red light that should not have occurred. And that's just the way it is. So, you know, I've had a couple different explanations given to me about why this could have happened. The track manager, whenever we showed him the footage of what took place, basically was like, huh, that's weird. Go see the event manager, see what he wants to do about it. So then I went to Cliff, who manages the IFO events, and showed him the footage, and he said, you didn't stage deep enough. You should have staged deeper. And maybe that's true. I don't know. What I do know is when you're fully staged, both your sets of yellow lights are illuminated. And I know that both of my sets of yellow lights were illuminated. So to say that I wasn't staged deep enough would suggest that the timing system somehow would have given me an indication of fully staged, even though I wasn't fully staged. So that's a malfunction of equipment. Either way, something went wrong. For those of you who maybe don't understand how the staging lights work on the tree, I'll just go over it real quick. You have each lane has 2 sets of yellows that are your staging bulbs. You have pre-stage, which is the first one. You'll see guys pull up to the line, they'll pull in until the first set of yellow bulbs lights up. Then typically, I mean, it's basic courtesy to sit staged at pre-stage at a single set of bulbs while your opponent pulls in to the same point where he has 1 set of bulbs. At that point, you know, turbo cars will start revving their engines up trying to build boost, or, you know, mini cars will try to get up in the power band a little bit. Whenever they're ready, you'll see them kind of inch forward just a little bit until the second sets of lights. Now that means you're fully staged when you have both sets of lights illuminated. Red light occurs when you leave too early. That's one scenario. There's also another scenario that many of you may not know, and that is you have a certain amount of time that you have to get into the fully staged position once your opponent is fully staged. You pull up, the idea is to get up to single stage, get your first set of bulbs lit, wait for the other guy to get his first set of bulbs lit, and then one of you has to inch in. There's no time limit at that point. When you are both just pre-staged, you can sit there forever. You'll see it in grudge racing, you'll see it in finals where guys are trying to screw with each other's heads and they'll just sit there and they'll make the other guy pull in first or whatever. So at that point, there is no clock running. As soon as one of the cars bumps into the fully staged position, meaning both their sets of yellow lights are lit, you have 7 seconds to get fully staged. Once your opponent is fully staged, you have 7 seconds. Now, if we go back and look at this footage, me and him went into single bulbs, went into pre-stage, basically together. He went right before me. I slid in. I started trying to build boost up on the brake. He's a manual car, he doesn't have to do that, but he revs his engine, gets up on 2-step, and he kind of lets his car roll forward into fully staged. At that point, I bump in. Right after him, he moves in, I hit the bump button. The car rocks forward, it rocks backwards for a second, which is something you'll see all the time. This is a very typical occurrence for cars with trans brakes, to have a little bit of a bounce back. They'll kind of just rock in and out of the beams. My car rolls in, fully stages, bounces back for a second, and then I stop it as it rolls back forward with all my bulbs lit, and nowhere near 7 seconds goes by before that red light comes on. I'm not sure who you really blame for that. You can blame Texas Motorplex. There was several people who had problems too. There was a Jotech GTR that had the same exact thing occurred to them, from what I understand. I didn't see video of that, but from what I'm told, they fully staged, they got a red. There was also a really fast all-wheel drive Del Sol that was there that dealt with something similar, but I saw a video of theirs and they actually had a crew member who was guiding the car up, trying to help him get up to the beams, to the starting line, and his foot was in the way of the beam. Jotech GTR raised a fuss. They bring a lot of really high-end expensive cars to the event. They got a redo on their run. I wasn't that squeaky of a wheel, I guess. You know, I saw the guys, I told them what went on, but, you know, looking back, I don't think there's any scenario where I would have made that guy run me again in this circumstance. He went on to have a pretty good pass. The red Civic I was lined up against ends up running an 11.6. You know, that would have been hard to beat anyway. My car ran a 12.0, it ran an 11.2. Like, I was nowhere near dialed. There's no sure thing that I would have even had a chance against him. Even if I beat him, I probably would have gotten knocked out the next round just because the car really wasn't dialed in for that index. So I don't think it's reasonable to really insist that that guy should have been forced to run it back with me again. I don't think I would have asked him to do that. If the shoe was on the other foot, I can see that being pretty annoying, you know, when you put together a good pass, especially being stick shift and front wheel drive. You know, these guys, they don't always get a clean A to B pass. You know, there's a lot of variables that they're challenged with. Anyway, someone had to get screwed. It had to be me. You know, if it wasn't me, it would have been someone else. I would have been trying to screw someone else, you know. So Texas Motorplex also had this weird light thing going on in the left lane where the green light wasn't even green. It was like yellow, and you'll see that in some of the video too. So maybe their equipment just sucks. You know, I don't know. They hold big NHRA events here with big top fuel dragsters and stuff. So I would think it's on the up and up, but I don't know. It wasn't that day. I got screwed, and that's just the way it is. The car is not launching well at all. It did not have any kind of impressive times. You know, I didn't do all this work to this car to go out and compete in 11.5 indexes like I have been with the old setup. That's not my intention. It for sure it might come as a surprise or be disappointing for some of you guys to see me go out to the track and after doing all this work and putting the 2J and putting the 400 and get it all set up just to run 11s, you know. Honestly, I thought I'd go out and do a little better than that myself, but this is just what happens. When you put stuff together, you make decisions, you make plans, you get it together, you get it to the track, and you find out if it worked. There's things I have to do to get it to work like it needs to. Something that may not be very well understood by some people regarding small displacement engines and turbos and automatics is just really what the torque converter is and how it works. Without going too much into it, basically what the basic fundamentals are, a torque converter is essentially just a fan that's blowing against another fan. Picture this, a tube with a fan on either end. One of them is driven by the engine and it blows against the other fan to make it turn, which in turn turns the wheels. Now, when you're sitting still, if your back wheels are not turning, you can only put so much power to the driven fan before the restriction of the stationary fan becomes too much for it to go any faster. The only way you could speed up the driven fan at that point is for the second fan to begin to match its speed. That's it. That's the differential between the two can only be so great. So what you have is a small engine that makes like no torque down low, and it's spinning the blades of the torque converter pump just as fast as it can. For reference, let's take a look at this dyno graph from when I dynoed the Z with the L series previously. So when you look at this graph, you can see that it's basically just a little mountain, essentially is what you're looking at. And what you'll see is as the RPM goes up, the horsepower goes up. When you have a 350 horsepower car, that does not mean that car makes 350 horsepower all the time. That means that at its best moments and its best conditions and speeds, that's the most it made during that pull. So when you are limited by the torque converter to how much you can spin the engine while the wheels are at rest, then you're limiting the amount of power that the engine is able to deliver. So you're not going to get a good launch when your engine makes like no power. There's two ways that you can increase that RPM. One of them is to make more power. If you have an engine that makes more power down low, you will push the converter harder. You'll be able to speed up the driven fan to a much higher speed while the second fan is still stationary because you have more power. This is why you don't really hear about these problems with LS cars or Coyote cars or small block 350s. This is a kind of a unique problem that's specific to small engines with automatic transmissions. And it's just something we have to deal with. With the Lexus Ursula, I ran a 75 shot of nitrous on the brake. That gave the engine enough horsepower to push against the converter to reach a higher RPM, which in turn created more boost from the turbo. Two-step is a great tool to be able to get the turbo to create boost sooner. In essence, that's going to create horsepower at a lower RPM, which is what we need. But two-step is not effective at 2,000 RPMs. Two-step's not effective really at 3,000 RPMs for this setup, for a turbo this size. So it doesn't really matter how much I retard the timing. It doesn't really matter how what RPM I set the two-step to, when the engine's turning so slowly, it's not moving enough air volume to get the turbo spooled up. We're still not even close. So this is not a matter of two-step. This is not a matter of tuning. This is a matter of hardware, the parts that are on the car. The second way you can increase RPM while you're on the trans brake or while the rear tires are at rest is to change the pitch of the blades inside the torque converter, to change up the torque converter. Torque converters are very complex in this way, or the way they are set up is highly dependent on horsepower, on torque, on vehicle weight, on how high you're going to be revving the engine. They can do things like change the diameter of the torque converter to change the way it applies. They can change the pitch of the blades in the turbine, and the pump in it can be modified to have different pitch on the blades to kind of act differently. You can make changes to the stator, but that's all some voodoo stuff. This is torque converter guy stuff. This isn't me in my garage stuff. That's way over my head, but I think we have a good torque converter, and I think I'll be able to make it better. But basically, the means I'm gonna have to take to improve the launch, I got a few options ahead of me. Some may be more effective than others, but y'all know I don't want to use nitrous on this car. I do not want to rely on nitrous for staging. I might get to where I have to. I don't know, but I got some other tricks up my sleeve that might help a little bit. You can adjust timing a little bit and maybe create a little bit of power. I'm gonna get the variable valve timing working hopefully this week, and I really hope to see a big improvement on spool time as a result of that. Maybe it helps me make a little bit of low to mid-range torque. That might kind of help me push up on the converter a little harder. I need to test the operation of the dump valve and make sure it's working, because it's just a little bizarre that it worked so good last Friday, but then the following Sunday, it didn't seem to make any difference at all. So there's some things I'm gonna try to get things dialed in, but basically, we're just getting started, y'all. I didn't spend all this time putting this car together to go out and run 11s. I did all this to run 9s on the parts that are on the car right now. This trans, this engine, I plan to run 9-second quarter miles with. Now I gotta get the car to leave though. It's not gonna happen with a 2.1 60 foot. I'm gonna need probably a 1.4 60 foot to do that. General rule of thumb that I've heard before that I feel like has some legitimacy is each tenth you take off the 60 foot equals 4/10 off the quarter mile. So to put that into perspective, if we go from a 2.1 to a 1.5 and take 0.6 seconds off the 60 foot, that will take 2.4 seconds off the pass. Take 2.4 seconds off of an 11.2 and tell me what you got. You know, I'm no math magician here, but it's gonna be pretty quick. And I think that we have the parts on here to do it. If I can get the car to leave, if I gotta use nitrous, I will. But you guys know I'm just gonna do whatever works. To get out there for our first time at the track, just so unprepared. Car had been running for a couple days. And to have it go down and not have any problems is just a huge victory. It's a weight lifted off my shoulders, you know. Honestly, I'm really satisfied with how that went. We're gonna figure out the short track and we're gonna get this thing ripping. But I sure appreciate you guys coming along this journey with me. Don't give up on me. We got much more to do here. Thanks for watching this video and listening to my rant. Like and subscribe for some more action, and we'll see you in a week or so.